All right, so we're going to work on example 2 in the 11.1 notes. The first question asks 14.3 pounds equals how many ounces? So the first thing you want to do is find a conversion between ounces and pounds. And on the previous page under the weight section, we were told that there are 16, and you can Google this as well, so 16 ounces equals 1 pound. And I mentioned this in the last video, but I would get a sheet together and just start writing these conversions all in one sheet would be helpful. So I'm going to set up my question as a proportion, just like I did in example 1. So I'm going to write 14.3 pounds equals how many ounces, an X since I don't know. And then when I set up a proportion, this was what we did in Math 148. You probably, you did a lot of this. You want to make sure that you put the same units on the top and the same units on the bottom. So if you decide to put pounds on the top, you keep them on the top. If you decide to put ounces on the bottom, you put that on the bottom. It really doesn't matter which one's on the top or the bottom, so I could have set this up originally with pounds on the bottom and ounces on the top. It's just you have to, the only thing that matters is that you're consistent. So now I'm going to plug in my conversion. So I know that there are 16 ounces in 1 pound. And now I'm just going to cross multiply. So I do 14.3 times 16. So 14.3 times 16 equals X times 1, or 1X. So 14.3 times 16 is 228.8 equals 1X, or just X. So that's going to be your answer. So there are 228.8, and if you're not sure on the units, look at where your X is. So go back to your proportion. Your X is right here. You put the units there next to it. So if you forget, you can always go back to your X and find out, okay, well, that's ounces. So 228.8 ounces, and that's the answer for number 1, 228.8 ounces. Okay, so for number 2, we're going to set up a similar proportion. So we want to know 3,200 pounds equals how many tons? So I look up the conversion between pounds and tons, and there are 2,000 pounds in 1 ton. So I'm going to keep my pounds on the top. So 2,000 pounds goes on the top, and then 1 ton goes on the bottom. And it's worth mentioning here, each one of these fractions individually. So for example, like this fraction right here, this is what we call a unit fraction. Unit means 1, and 2,000 pounds is the same as 1 ton. And anytime you have a fraction where the top is essentially the same as the bottom, when you divide like 5 over 5 or 4 over 4, or in this case 2,000 pounds and 1 ton, essentially you're getting 1. And same thing over here. So I just thought I'd mention that. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to cross multiply. So I'm going to take 3,200 and multiply it by 1, and then X times 2,000, or 2,000X. And then I'm going to, so I get 3,200 equals 2,000X. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2,000 to solve the equation. Okay, so I'm just going to divide 3,200 by 2,000 in my calculator, and I get 1.6. And again, if I'm not sure on the units, because I want to write the units with my answer, I go up and I look for the X in my proportion, and I look next to it, and there's the unit. So it's tons. So the answer is 1.6 tons.